We are very lucky to do this. We're also very lucky to be the people that judge the judgers. Whenever people put lists together, you have to immediately judge the people that put the list together as opposed to the teams that are on the list. Now, when the power rankings come out in the NFL, and there's a couple different ones. There's one on NFL Network from
Matt Money Smith and Dan Hansis.
He puts his together. Okay, that is something that ESPN has put out their first power rankings, though. And we tried to do research on who created this. I guess it's 81 writers and TV personalities that have a vote. This is the current. Going into week 2 of the 2021 NFL season, the current ESPN power rankings, which we must judge, and not just the teams, but the people that put the list together. The power rankings, please.
Hell yeah.
At number 10 in the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens almost won against the Raiders this past weekend. They have lost a lot of people on that team. A lot of people have gotten injured. They still have the anomaly that is Lamar Jackson at quarterback. And even after being a half a yard away from losing a game in overtime, they cause a turnover and almost get back in that thing and win. Fuck-ass fumbles are the problem for why the Ravens did not get a dub. They will be in every single game strictly because Harbaugh and that defense and special teams are always good. And they got Lamar Jackson on the offensive side of the ball. He's going to be set. They're at number 10. Okay, the Raiders beat them. I don't believe the Raiders are on this list. Number 9, New Orleans Saints. 8, Pittsburgh Steelers. 7, San Francisco 49ers. 8, Cleveland Browns. Or 6, Cleveland Browns. 5, Buffalo Bills. 4, Los Angeles Rams. 3, Seattle Seahawks. 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And number 1 overall team, the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, we had to look into whether or not this is projected end of season rankings or the rankings that it sits currently. Because there's obviously some question marks if you're looking at this just as a week 2 power ranking. How could you have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 8, Buffalo Bills at 5, when the Pittsburgh Steelers literally went into Buffalo and got a win in week 1? Is this a projection for the end of the season, or is this right now? That's a question that needs to be answered, and I don't think we were able to find the answer, right?
No, it's right now. This is going into week 2. This is post-week 1 game.
So ESPN polled 81 writers and people that are prominent in the football world, and they ranked the Buffalo Bills 3 spots ahead of the team that beat them just a few days ago.
Yes.
Then obviously the Kansas City Chiefs at number 1, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 2, and the Seattle Seahawks at number 3, and Los Angeles Rams at number 4. If I was to be ranking this just strictly off of week 1 performances, which I think is what they are ranking this off of, I mean, Seattle, Los Angeles, the Niners, except for the fourth quarter. There's a lot of movement in my eyes. Kansas City was down 10, but they flip a switch and come back and win whenever they want. Tom Brady had that moment where he saw the other team take a lead and he was pissed off, knows he's going to come back and win this thing. The Seahawks and the Rams, though, and the Niners, I believe, for 3 quarters of that game, appeared to be the best squads in the NFL. This ranking, and the Saints at 9 is absurd, by the way, especially with what they just did to the Packers. So we have a lot of question marks, but I think everybody would agree top 10 seems like that's probably the bundle everybody's going to pick from. Unless the Raiders deserve to be in there, especially if you're going to have the Ravens in there.
Well, even the Cowboys. I mean, I feel like the Ravens weren't the most impressive, team that lost on this weekend, or at least one that doesn't warrant the 10. I thought the Cowboys looked just as good as the Ravens, if not better.
The AFC West and the NFC West are all 1-0. Okay, so everybody in the AFC West and the NFC West is 1-0. There are only a couple teams from each in there. I think that is a fascinating thing as well. And the Packers aren't even in top 10. So that tells us that they're judging strictly on week 1 performances if the Packers aren't in there, unless they're predicting that the Packers are going to stink. I'm fascinated by this whole thing, and it's obviously great fodder, but there's some outright bullshit on this list that I'm not necessarily happy about.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Houston Texans need to be on here. They looked unbelievable week 1. Granted, they played the Jaguars, but they beat the shit out of them. Everyone thought they were going to go 0-17 this year. I mean,
I think they're at 11.
Okay, if they're at 11. Cardinals should definitely be up here.
Yeah.
They absolutely dog-walked a team who won their division last year, and everyone thought they were going to be better this year. They absolutely embarrassed the Titans. In Nashville, they should definitely be in the top 10.
And I have a question, how do you rank the Kansas City Chiefs above the Super Bowl champ Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Now, much different time. They played against each other, obviously different offensive line for Patrick Mahomes, but Kansas City Chiefs were down double digits. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I guess they had to come back and win that thing in the end, but also, how do you... I don't know how any of these things work out, and we always must remember, everybody gets upset about things, about lists and rankings and everything, as you should. You always have to remember who's doing the voting. And do we really give a fuck what said person thinks? Now, I would assume in those 81 people that are voting, we do have respect for at least a couple people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I would say that. But there are some outcomes on this particular list. Just the first NFL power ranking that we have seen in the middle of the season. We will judge these every single week, by the way. It is a beautiful thing. And we thank ESPN for putting this together to be completely transparent. But there's some shit in there. Makes you go. There's people that have no idea what they're talking about when they're talking about football. Makes me feel how I felt when I was watching Monday Night Manning. I was like, oh, I didn't know anything about football.
Yeah.
I just realized. Chuck, by the way, needs to get hip to the Monday Night
Big
Manning.
time. Yeah.
He will love it. Football people will love the Manning thing. It is literally a fire hose of football information coming right down the gullet from the Manning brothers and whoever their guest is. I absolutely enjoyed it. And I would like to see the Manning brothers put together a power rankings list.
They should.
They probably wouldn't, by the way, because they have no idea what the teams are going to look like 4 weeks from now, 5 weeks from now. And that's kind of how we all feel that has ever been in a locker room. Like, oh, some teams might completely flip the switch and be great. Some teams might check out and stink. You have no idea what a team's going to become, especially if you don't know what the culture is. But there's some things on there. I mean, the Steelers being below the Bills just
Doesn't make sense.
Can't have it.
they already competed for who would be higher on this thing.
A lot of people were picking the Bills to win or go to the Super Bowl this year. And
Still, by the way, still might.
Mm-hmm.
Still might. But
Steelers go into their house.
But if this is just ranking where we currently stand, I mean, literally they had a scoreboard up for the 8 and the 5 team to figure out who should be ranked higher, and the 8 team scored more points than the 5 team. And I'm not saying any. Believe me, I love the Buffalo Bills, and I think they could change and continue to only get better through the season. They have a bunch of studs. I believe in Josh Allen. I believe in Bean. I believe in McDermott. But if you're just looking at this list for what it is, it's like they already competed.
Yeah.
They literally just played again. The games don't matter. Is it just what you think and predict, I guess? Is that what the 81 people are just smarter than the actual game itself? Because the game itself is what we're talking about, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand, but it's got to make you feel a little bit better about the Colts knowing that the number 3 Seattle Seahawks were the team that took them out this weekend.
Hey, I was thinking the number 1 Seattle Seahawks, by the way. And that team looks unbelievable. Now that I'm a big fan of Russell Wilson, too, after his Monday Night Manning performance, I like to see the Hawks up there. You know, the 12s deserve it, too. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
The 12s deserve it. They're at home this weekend against Titans.
Yes.
Yes,
That does
sir.
sound
They're
right.
at home this
Yeah.
weekend against the Titans. I'm going to bet on Russell Wilson until further notice as well. He's one of the people that I'm betting on until further notice. Arizona Cardinals, also a team I'm betting on until further notice. They're minus 4.5 at home with the Vikings. Mike Zimmer and Kirk Cousins allegedly just watched film for the first time ever together. I think the Cardinals at home, that seems like a right bet. I did not know it was going to be like that with the Vikings, though, because they still got Dalvin Cook.
Yeah. But Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt got the boys
Oh, I
buzzing
completely
up there.
forgot they got a brand new defense. Chandler Jones, 5 sacks. J.J.
Yeah.
Watt out there eating as well. Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury seem to have a different attitude, different tone this year as they did in the past. A.J. Green, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, that team is
Buda
eating
Baker.
over there. Buda, yeah, in the back. Yeah.
Oh, man.